love and a show of being in a relationship. How could you think that's bad or corrupt?
Well, firstly, there's the wedding.
Weddings are beautiful. It's an opportunity to express your relationship and your personality, and for family and friends to come together in a perfect union.
But they're so expensive, and unnecessarily so. A lot of young couples just can't afford to spend so much on one day.
But if you don't spend enough, it means you don't care about your relationship or your spouse.
That's just pushed by the marriage industry so you can spend more money. I don't need a fancy ceremony to prove that I'm in love with someone.
That's a bit cynical, don't you think? I think weddings allow couples an opportunity to express themselves on their special day.
No, it's not cynical. It's realistic. What's the point of getting married when you're most likely going to get divorced in 10 years anyway?
That attitude will get you nowhere. Divorce is hardly the majority. If you think you can leave a relationship so easily, you won't put in the effort required to maintain it.
But what if it's an abusive relationship? It would be much harder to leave someone who is physically or emotionally hurting you if you're married to them.
You can just get divorced.
But didn't you just say that divorce wasn't the goal?
No, it's not the goal, but that doesn't mean I think it should be banned. We just need to have realistic expectations rather than pessimistically thinking that everyone will get divorced.
I suppose I can agree with that. That doesn't make the marriage industry any less superficial, though. Have you seen Married at First Sight?
That's hardly a realistic portrayal of marriage, and I don't think it represents the whole marriage industry.
Well then, what about the millions of rom-coms that only heighten people's expectations of the relationships before they are sorely disappointed in reality?
What's wrong with rom-coms? They're not hurting anyone, and who cares if a few people get disappointed? I love Love Actually.
That movie is so problematic. That movie is so problematic. There are numerous fat jokes throughout it, and incidents where a woman stays with her cheating and lying husband, and where a man confesses his undying love to the wife of his best friend. Not to mention that Colin Firth is in love with a woman who can't speak English, which I interpreted to mean that the less women say, the more lovable they are. Clearly, rom-coms just facilitate these stereotypes of women being objects.
You could say any movie does that. Besides, don't you think children need stability in their lives? Marriage encourages couples to look at their relationship more permanently, rather than just leaving whenever they feel like it.
People can still get divorced with children, and that doesn't excuse the many other negatives of marriage.
Like what?
Well, marriage is discriminatory. Just look at same-sex marriage.
That's legal now.
Yeah, only in 26 countries, and that took a lot of fighting and a lengthy and expensive process to achieve too.
Yeah, but now that it has been achieved, we have marriage equality.
I suppose. But really, we're just forcing an outdated and arduous ceremony on another group of people.
You keep saying it's outdated. That makes no sense. Marriage is more liberal than ever, with less marriages taking place in church and more civil marriages with more focus on the legal side. Marriage has clearly evolved with the times.
Not nearly enough. Women are still given away by their fathers as if they are little more than objects. They still take their husbands' names when they get married. And if you think about it, most women always have their names defined by the men in their life. First their father, and then their husband. It's just so wrong.
Okay, but not everyone needs to get married. If you don't want to marry your partner, you can just become a de facto couple. They have the same rights as married couples anyway.
That is so not true. De facto couples have tons of legal issues and have to prove they have a relationship in a lot of cases, like an IVF and turning off life support, unlike married couples.
I guess that's true. Maybe the government does need to reform their ideas about marriage.
Yeah, I think marriage needs to be taken away from its outdated traditional roots, but maybe not abolished like I originally thought. It's true that it is an expression of love and support, and it's not really fair to stop people who want to get married from doing so. I guess my opinion was a little bit too extreme.
You could say mine was too. I agree that there are a lot of issues with marriage that some of us would rather ignore.
I've actually learned a lot from talking to you. Thank you.
Me too. I guess we just needed to have a conversation to open up our minds.